What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. My name is Mike, and today we are reviewing and starting our favorite movie series, just so that our audience can get to know us a little better. So today, I am with my friend and co-host, Justin. How you doing today, Justin?
Thebes, city of the living. Yeah, I'm doing good. I am excited for this, Mike. It was your first viewing of one of my favorites, top three actually, and
Not my first
I
viewing.
hope I hope you liked it. I hope you liked it for sure.
I've seen The Mummy before. It's
Oh,
not my
that's what.
first
Oh, I
viewing.
thought we were talking about a different movie. Oh, okay.
Okay. Wait, really? Did you think we were
No,
talking about? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I'm just
Anyway,
kidding. I'm
yeah.
just
Today
rolling with it,
we're
logic.
today we're reviewing The Mummy. Again, this is the first movie that we're reviewing in a series that will continue on our favorite movies. So me, Justin, and Joe will, suggest a movie for us to watch that is part of their favorites, and we will review it and talk about it. And so today we're starting off with The Mummy, but first, if you have not already left us a review, please do so. Apple Podcasts is the best location to do that. Let us know what we're doing. And speaking of which, we have a new review.
Nice.
Did you know that?
On Apple Podcasts.
On Apple Podcasts. So,
Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
yeah, I'm going to try to pull it up here. I should have had that prepared, but we do have a new review. We like to kind of shout you out, if, you do leave us a review, and I can't do it right now.
Right.
So
yeah, you
wow.
ramble, and I will bring it up.
Very prepared. If you're on Spotify mobile, please go ahead and leave us a star review there. We would appreciate it as well. And also, when you're listening on your podcast player of choice, follow us. If you follow us, that also helps us out in the algorithm as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment down below what you thought of The Mummy, or what you think about the movie. You probably have already seen it. And let us know how we're doing. Yeah, we really appreciate it. A little bit of housekeeping before we get to The Mummy. We are once again starting our favorite movie series. We're also doing Test Your Might weekly. We're doing video game debates. That's a staple. But also, we are going to be reviewing soon the Christmas Story sequel, A Christmas Story Christmas. That's what it's called on HBO Max, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's all housekeeping I have for you. Justin, you got our review queued. It's from none other than Sharif Jackson of SharifJackson.com. Go ahead and read it.
For sure. I was going to try to pronounce the name, but I'm glad I don't have to. He says, great podcast, 5 stars. This show is a fun, relaxing dive into a bunch of fun stuff. This show is a generally positive look on movies, games, and shows. The hosts have great chemistry, and the shows never go on for too long. Check it out. So I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharif, for leaving us a review. If you leave us a review, we will shout you out and read it on the podcast. We'd love to see it. So, Justin, The Mummy, released in 1999, directed by Stephen Sommers, and produced by James Jacks, Sean Daniel, starring none other than Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, I believe is probably how it's pronounced, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, Kevin J. O'Connor, and Jonathan Hyde. This is distributed by Universal Pictures. Runtime of 125 minutes. Budget of $80 million and a box office of $416.4 million. Mm-hmm. So it did a good job for itself. Justin, why don't you lead us into our spoiler-free reviews? What you got?
So this has happened twice to me in my life, where as a child, as a youngling, I was taken to the theater, and back in the day, tickets were sellouts. So the movie that we went to go see, not even sure what it was, nor do I care at this point, because our backup was to go see The Mummy. And I was probably a little too young to see it, but at the same time, enjoyed it throughout. It was one of the second best movies that I've ever seen in my life. It really put a staple to, sometimes you might not get to see what you want to see, but see something as a backup, and it possibly could be one of the greats. This movie, all-star cast, definitely great chemistry within the cast, and jokes and action. It has a little bit of everything, which makes it one of my top movies for sure.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of jokes and action, I was trying to think of cuz like this movie came out in 1999, but it truly, like, for those who watch it now, it's got some Marvel vibes. Like, it's got that action and comedy mixture. And so it got me wondering, is this like one of the first movies that truly like went knee deep into that style? Like, I can't think of another one before
it, for sure. Yeah.
I
it
agree.
was definitely something before we knew what Marvel was going to become. And they definitely had a kind of flow that went along with it that really struck a lot of good chords for viewers.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the action comedy. I think Brendan Fraser is a very good actor, and he delivers the comedic timing really well. Yeah, I like this movie, but I do think it's a little too long. I think that there's some scenes and story beats that could have been wrapped up a little bit quicker. I think there was just a little bit of fluff in the movie, and that's probably what's gonna bring it down for me. I like the other things. I mean, this was decent CGI for the time. I thought there was good acting, good comedic timing, good action, and ultimately a good story. I just think that it was about like maybe 15 to 30 minutes too long. I think that the overall story could have been done a little bit tighter and a little bit better within an hour and a half. That's my feelings on it. But with that being said, I still had a good time watching it. It's increasingly entertaining as you go through the movie, and I think it's a solid movie.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Very interesting. I mean, I'm saying that one of your favorites is a good movie. So
yeah, that's true.
I just think it's a little too long. That's all. Get to the point. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so that was our spoiler-free review. Let's get into our spoiler territory. If you have not seen The Mummy, you probably have. But if you haven't, pause the podcast right now, because consider this your official spoiler warning. Hey, you.
What's that? What the?
What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well then,
stop it. Get some help.
So you don't feel like this guy. Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
All right, that was your official spoiler warning, listeners. So, Justin, in Thebes, Egypt, 12 Thebes? Thebes?
Yes.
You sure?
You don't want the Bembridge scholars to come after you. It is Thebes.
Okay. Yeah, it probably is Thebes, but I just wanted to be different. No, don't be different.
No, I only gamble with my life, not money.
In Thebes, Egypt, 1290 BC, High Priest Imhotep. I know how to pronounce that because I have a board game called Imhotep. Has an affair with Anksunamun.
Anaxanamun.
What?
Anaxanamun.
Sure. The mistress of Pharaoh Seti the First, whatever. They kill Seti. They kill the pharaoh after he discovers their relationship. Imhotep flees with
Anaxanamun.
Kills herself, believing he can resurrect her. He and his priests steal her corpse and travel to Hamunaptra, the city of the dead.
Doing a great job now.
I think that one was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. That's what I said. You're doing great now.
Yeah, thank you.
City of the Dead.
Justin, the City of the Dead. This starts off with sort of a history lesson for people. It's obviously fictional history lesson, but nonetheless, I thought this was a cool and unique opening. Also, was the narrator's voice Aramir from Lord of the Rings, the OG trilogy? I think that was him.
That's the guy that protects. Well, we haven't gotten there in the spoilers, but he is the leader of the protectors of the mummy.
Okay, it's him. So
Imhotep.
his voice sounded
Awesome.
pretty similar to. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good narration. I mean,
it's I think it's.
But yeah, go ahead.
Arda is his name.
I'll pull up the IMDb. Go ahead about this intro.
Yeah. So very reminiscent to Lord of the Rings. I'm glad you brought that up because you get that. His name's Odith, the actor, but or Oded, but
Odin?
you get that voiceover, kind of like a back history lesson of what's going on before the events that we come to know in the future, and it really sets the tone. You know, you see the characters Anaxanamun and Imhotep as humans, for now. And they are doing what they're doing in love, whatever, and the Pharaoh is not for that. So this great action sequence of stabbing the Pharaoh and trying to do their own thing and protect their love is very symbolic, and it carries throughout that entire movie for sure. And with his voiceover, that bass in his voice, it really shows a tone that when later when we meet this character, we're like, hey, wait a second, we know him.
Yeah, I mean, it sets the stage. I forgot, like a lot of my memories of the Mummy are actually probably from number 2. Cause I forgot a lot about, some of the things here, some of the steps. And yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, how they start to introduce those characters after this intro. You have a battle going on. Afterwards. But first Imhotep does flee. He does steal the Pharaoh daughter's, corpse and tries to resurrect her. But the resurrection ritual is stopped by Pharaoh's bodyguards, the Magi. Imhotep is buried alive with flesh-eating scarab beetles and locked
he was
in a sarcophagus.
Set to endure the Humdai,
yes,
a mummification ritual that has never been done before, and it's basically cursing his and Anaxanamun's body, pretty much.
Yeah, it's sort of like what they said was like it was. They were afraid of this type of ritual.
And something cool throughout this, you get the visuals of Hamunaptra, and you get the. I'm sure most of it is CG for sure, but you get the visuals, and they really set the tone as an atmosphere of where they are. You get the torches that are actual fire being lit. You have this great transition that happens right before we get into the battle that Mike alluded to. Is it goes up to the Anubis statue, and then you see the name Mummy show up to signify the movie title. And then you see the Anubis statue actually start to wear down and break down and decay, and the light comes up, and then it's present day. It's really cool.
No, yes, it's super cool. The sort of the transition that they had of like the sand washing away the old and bringing in the new with like a blue sky and stuff. I thought that was really unique, really interesting for that transition. And also the words that he said during that, he was like, if he were to rise again, he would be a plague upon mankind. Yeah. And then holy flesh eater with the strength of, it was awesome. Just like the transitional words, as long as the visuals side by side. Perfect. Yeah, it was really cool. Good transition. Like I said, for a 1999 movie, this had pretty good CGI, I think. So, all right. In 1923 AD, Jonathan Carnahan presents his sister Evelyn, a librarian and aspiring Egyptologist, with an intricate box and map that lead to Hamunaptra. Yeah, now, this skipped over the battle here. This did skip over the battle. So actually, before this happens, we are introduced to Rick O'Connell, who is Brendan Fraser's character, and he is in the midst of this battle that is taking place at the
Hamunaptra.
Yeah, Hamunaptra. So this battle is interesting. He sort of gets his first taste of what is what is going to be foreshadowed here, with again another cool CGI scene where that mummy shows his face in the sand.
Yeah, it was. He was really cornered. He's a gunfighter for sure. He had his friend Benny there, who isn't kind of his friend, but he does get cornered by horsemen, guns pointed at him. He closes his eyes, prepared to die, and then all the horses just go wild and run away. He opens his eyes, and everyone's gone, and he starts hearing whispers of "You die, you all die," and
Yeah.
the face of Imhotep, or the mummy, rises up out of the sand in CG, and just it looks awesome. It obviously it's 1999 CG, but it sets the tone of there is some supernatural stuff going on here, and Rick is not ready for it.
No, he's not ready, but he's got to get ready fast, because in 2 years' time, so this was 2 years prior, and then now where I just read, we got Evelyn introduced, we got her brother introduced, who's Jonathan, and Jonathan reveals that he stole the box from an American adventurer, Rick O'Connell, who discovered the city while in the French Foreign Legion. So that talks about the battle. Evelyn and Jonathan find Rick and make a deal with him to lead them to the city. Where did they find him, Justin?
Jail. Thieves jail. Honestly, or
Thieves
Cairo.
jail?
I think it was Cairo jail, actually.
Yeah.
We get introduced to him as a burly man, not shaved, dirty, preparing to be hung. And so Evelyn basically talks to the jail owner, the lead guy, and strikes a deal with him, per se, to free him, and because he knows the location of Hamunaptra.
Yeah. Yep. So, that he is hung, and his neck does not snap, which is a good thing for the plot.
This is definitely not a family-friendly hanging in this one, because we do full, his neck did not break.
But his neck did not break, because plot. And so they actually cut him down after Evelyn strikes a deal with this one character, saying that, hey, he knows the location of the biggest treasure in Egypt. He's going to lead us to it. We'll give you 25% of it. That didn't happen, because that guy dies. Spoiler alert. Anyway. So Rick guides Evelyn and her party to the city, encountering a band of American treasure hunters led by Rick's cowardly acquaintance, Benny Gabor. What did you think of good old Benny here?
This is on the boat already. We're just jumping to the boat. Benny is we met him in that opening scene. Well, the present day opening scene where he kind of O'Connell was friends with him, and he said, "Are you with me on this one?" as they're lining up their shots to fire at the enemies coming towards, and Benny basically runs away, closes the door in O'Connell's face, and ditches him pretty much. So we already know Benny to be a coward and someone that's not really trustworthy.
A little snakish.
Yeah, a little snakish. Definitely a Slytherin house. He definitely is there for a reason, Benny is, and that's to lead the Americans to Hamunaptra, because both of O'Connell and Benny have been there. So,
Benny,
you're not going to find Hamunaptra. O'Connell, let's throw him over the boat edge and throw him in the water. Well, there's a funny line here where he's like, I think I'll kill you. And he's like, think of my children. He's like, you don't have any children. And he saze, one day I might.
Yeah, I
throws him over the boat.
like I said, that's what really surprised me, because I haven't watched this movie in years, and just to sort of see all the comedic elements that come into play, just it a very entertaining watch. There, like I said in my spoiler free review, that I think it was a little bit too long, but the comedy and the action sort of bring you through it regardless.
I'd love to maybe at the end get your take on what areas were too long, because I feel like, in my opinion, the flow of it was perfect. The extra details led up to a more climactic ending, and the character development really added to that. But towards the end, we'll talk about that.
I can let you know. There's one in particular that will come to mind. So, okay. So they run into Benny Gabor, despite being warned to leave by Ardith Bey, leader of the Magi. The two expeditions continue their excavation. So this also sort of skips over that boat scene a lot. The boat scene is pretty fun, has some good action to it. The Magi, they infiltrates the boat as if they knew that they were coming, and they try to steal back the map that Jonathan ended up finding, the map to the treasure. And so that, half the map has already been burned, but they do end up stealing the map. And then Rick's like, don't worry, I'm the map. I know where it is.
It's all up here.
It's all up here. So yeah, I mean, let's just pause here. Is this Brendan Fraser's best role? Like, is it your favorite? I remember him in Bedazzled. Like, he was good in Bedazzled. Right?
He was good in Bedazzled, but I think this was his most charismatic role, in my opinion. I definitely liked him in With Honors, which is more of a drama. But
yeah,
this film was definitely his breakaway for me, to show me what versatility he has as an actor. I've seen him in comedies, I've seen him in dramas, but this was action and comedy and all rolled into the one. It really showed how great he was as an actor. I'm really sad that he dropped off. I wish he would come back. But yeah.
Well, I mean, he dropped off because of a scandal. So, not to his fault. Like, he was actually the victim in it. So, I mean, he's making a return as a director, which is good. I've heard that his last movie that he directed is really, really good. I forget exactly what movie that was, but
also before they get to Hamunaptra, both the Americans and the O'Connell party, they have a race on camels and horseback, and this was a much better horseback / camel riding experience than in the Rings of Power.
Rings of Power, really? You're gonna bring that up?
I think that it was there was comedy throughout the race. The camels were going crazy, and Evelyn actually ended up winning.
Yeah. She had sort of it sounded like she had sort of a way with speaking to the camel, like she yeah, making a lot of link noises,
Yeah. It worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, she won. So so at that time they are doing their excavations. Evelyn searches for the Book of Amun-Ra, made of pure gold. Instead of finding it, she stumbles upon Imhotep's remains. So they do end up uncovering the sarcophagus, the coffin, and they open it up. And what was really cool about it was that, and what they started to understand was, this guy's flesh is still like wet, like he's not dry, like pretty interesting.
Juicy.
He's juicy. Yeah.
Yeah. They also notice on the outside, on the door hinge of the sarcophagus. There's scratch marks. Yeah, there's scratch marks, and
words are hard.
There's shells of the beetles in there as well, which means that he was actually mummified alive, which Evie is like blown away by. Also, he wrote something in it. He etched in the lid that says "Death is only the beginning," which is awesome. Yeah,
which that sort of is a through line, to the end, and then also to the sequel. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but. So as they are doing that, the team of Americans, meanwhile, they discover the Black Book of the Dead, accompanied by Kennepick jars carrying...
Canopic.
Canobic?
Yeah.
Like
Canopic.
Canobiisms? Like
The
canobic?
jars that are used for mummification to hold the organs of the person mummified. Continue.
Sure. And they were carrying
Anaxadamoon's preserved organs.
preserved organs. Okay. So anyway, those jars carrying his love's organs, and so he needs these. The mummy will eventually need these to resurrect her, and so yeah, very very interesting that you kind of have this like book of Amun-Ra, which is kind of like the book of life, or something like that, and then you have the book of dead. One is gold, one is pure black. So I love sort of the
balance,
the polar opposite, the paradox that you get here. So yeah, now what's important here is that the sarcophagus and also the book, and we come to find this back in the flashback, they both are locked and need to be opened by a key. And Jonathan is the one who found the key. Well, sorry, Rick is the one who found the key. Jonathan stole the key from Rick.
Yeah.
And so Evelyn was
key,
like, yeah, they knew it was a key. So it's not only on the sarcophagus, because hey, we don't want this guy getting back to life, because clearly
it would be bad.
He's gonna do some damage. So yeah, Evelyn decides to, I'm just gonna read the Book of the Dead. So I'm gonna find this key, which I grabbed, and I'm gonna steal the book from another person. They're a family of thieves.
Yeah, it was bad. As soon as she read it, her hair blew and like torches started blowing and stuff. You knew something was going down.
Yeah. Well, and then the other guy,
Dead? But okay, sure.
The other guy just literally he instantaneously knew that the book was read for some reason, because he's sleeping, he gets the book stolen from underneath his arm. How do you not wake up? And then she reads it, and he like instantaneously wakes up. He's like, "Don't read from it," but it's too late.
Yeah, accidentally awaking Imhotep, and you see that almost instant transition to the sarcophagus that we saw earlier with the mummy, the juicy mummy. And he, CG, wakes up and he's like, "Rah! Rah, rah, rah." Right.
I thought you swore there, and like it just cut out. I thought you said he instantly woke up and was like, "WTF?"
What the fun podcast? No,
exactly.
So yeah, so he awakens, and pretty much the 10 plagues of Egypt is coming. That's basically what's going to happen. This walking plague upon mankind. The Hum-Dai was done on him. He is pure evil. He can do pretty much things gods can do upon this earth. It's not good. So the expeditions return to Cairo, and Imhotep follows them with the help of none other than the snake, Benny. Yeah, there's a funny scene here where Benny comes across the mummy and he has like a necklace with like all of the religious symbols on them, and he's speaking different languages trying to get the mummy to stop gonna kill him. And he finally speaks the language of the slave.
Gets to the Hebrew language of the Hebrew slaves, and he's like, "Oh, you know that language. I slaved those people." Or at least my ancestor did, and we have something in common. So you are going to serve me. And so he actually he gets Benny to do his bidding. But before that, we got some really good sort of horror elements and scary moments here, which were fun as well. One of the American excavators, he gets his eyes taken out as well as his tongue by the mummy.
Yeah, it almost seems as if it is what it is, but Imhotep is claiming pieces of body parts from these Americans that stole the jars of Imhotep's remains, or not Imhotep's remains and knocks down a moon remains.
His remains are the mummy.
Yeah, so he's claiming body parts to
Mhm.
regenerate pretty much and
Yep.
gather strength as he does.
Yeah. So, okay. So then they actually return to Cairo after all this. And Imhotep follows them with the help of Benny, who has agreed to serve him. And he then goes on a hunting spree for all the Americans who have stolen the jars that are carrying the organs. So, one of my favorite scenes in this whole movie was the shadow kill. That the mummy, he,
the like thinning.
Yeah,
so the corpse.
Yeah, so the mummy can travel by sand. So he sands through the window, and then he attacks this guy, thinning out his body, and it's all done in a shadow. You see him rise within the shadow, and you see the body also thinning out within the shadow. I think that was probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. Really, really good. Yeah, I loved it.
Well done for sure. To not even show that visually, just see the shadow thinning into a corpse and thrown off to the side.
Yeah,
very good. And we also learn about the cats during that scene as well, where a cat jumps on a piano and Imhotep sees it and immediately gets scared and runs and basically spins into sand and flies out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Cool beans. I'll just bring it up here. I think this is where it started to get too long for me.
Really?
Yeah, like I wish that he had I wish he had taken out the Americans with a little bit more swiftness. I think that there was a lot of things like interlaced within this scene that just like I just didn't need. Like let's just move on to the final climax. And so although I do like some of the kills and stuff in this section and some of the scenes that happen, like this is where it started getting a little bit too long for me. So
really, this is really showing how his power grows with each kill. Pretty much, he's blotting out the sun. He's turning the water to blood. He's creating the locust plague. He's causing everyone in Cairo to become basically zombies that can do his bidding. His power is strong, and it just keeps showing that escalation of we're not going to be able to fight this with mortal weapons. Like, we need some other power.
Which, is a scene that you needed, but I think like maybe the guy that he took his eyes out and the tongue, maybe they could have actually he could have done the full thinning of the body and killing of the body in that scene, and then Benny brings him in to get the rest, something like that. I think it was just slightly too long there, but regardless, some really cool scenes, some really really funny comedy. I thought the cat was funny, just jumping and then just scaring the bejesus out of Imhotep, this all-powerful, all-evil mummy scared of cats. Yeah.
Well, that's staying true to lore. They were the guardians. So it's good for Egyptology for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so he does eventually kill everybody of the American expedition. He does get all the jars. He regenerates to full strength. You could also some of the effects on his like makeup and stuff and his mouth, he had sort of a two-face thing going on where just like one side of his mouth was like holy and burnt.
It's also where you get the beetle that crawls up and then into his mouth
and then he eats it.
Just like chews it. Yeah.
Gross, bro. Anyway,
juicy.
But yeah, as you said, he does bring up it's juicy. Oh my gosh. He does bring up the 10 plagues, and the 10 plagues are now in full force back to Egypt. So Egypt went through them during the Exodus time, and now they're going through it again.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck.
Hey, you shouldn't read from the book. Just saying.
Oh yeah, Evelyn is full to blame in this one, and she should have known
She's a librarian.
Not to read it. She should have known not to read from it. She's like, oh, I want to see this. She was like, she knew what was going to happen if she read from there, and she's like, yeah, I want to see it.
It's possible that when Rick O'Connell kissed her mind got jumbled from being a librarian. I don't know.
So
she wanted
I
to be
mean,
an Egyptologist, so
yeah,
I thought
what
she
we're
would know
really
too.
saying, what we're really saying is they needed Steven from Moon Knight to be there and to, you know, help out with some of the lore. Otherwise, she wouldn't have read from there. So
That'd be cool.
that'd be funny.
I just want more. I want more Moon Knight. All right, back to the story.
Yeah. All right. Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan meet Ardith at a museum. Now, Ardith, he's a character that we've already been known. We already know. He is the leader of the Menjab, right? The Medjai. And
Yeah, that's right.
he also, yeah, I just had to read the word. I wasn't looking at the word. And he meets up with Dr. Terrence Bay, who's played by Eric Avari. And we come to find out that they've actually known about each other. They've been working with each other to keep this disaster from happening. And
they failed.
Let alone they failed. So they all go back to the museum and they hypothesize that Imhotep wants to resurrect
Anaxanamun
by sacrificing Evelyn. She believes that if the Book of the Dead brought Imhotep back to life, the Book of Amun-Ra can kill him again, and deduces the book's whereabouts in Hamunaptra.
Yeah, so they originally knew where one of the books were, where Evelyn suspected it was, and that's why they were digging there. So they are making this guess that the two books must have been swapped, and they know where the other one is buried.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, because they sort of you know proved it, right? They were told by the Americans where they found the Book of the Dead, and on this like really big tablet looking thing, like an old school tablet, not like an iPad. She reads that the Book of the Dead is in this one place, and that the book of Amun-Ra is in this other. And because it like was flip-flopped, it was like a puzzle that they implemented in order for those books not to be found.
And so being a very smart librarian can deduct that.
Except for that first scene where she knocked down all the bookcases. She's a smart librarian, but a clumsy one.
I think she's clumsy, and they wanted to show that. You know, even with the camel riding, she was like, "Oh, I didn't want to go that fast." You know, like, and she ended up winning. But she's smart, but she's also clumsy, which is character development, even from the beginning.
All right, I enjoy it. Okay, so they actually figure out the location of the Book of Amun-Ra. Imhotep corners the group with an army of slaves. So this sort of also skips. We didn't need the Winston Churchill scene where this guy, this old drunk, knows how to fly a plane, and it's the only purpose for his character.
Really? The wall of sand? You didn't like that?
No, I like the wall of sand. You don't need Winston.
Well, that's the introduction.
What?
Somebody spilled their drink. Yeah, that's the introduction to him, to his character, that Rick knows him.
No, I understand. They should have just hijacked a plane, and flew it themselves.
They're not bad characters.
What?
Accidentally bad.
Rick O'Connell was in jail.
Well, that's because he was trying to have a good time. They didn't want him.
Right.
They didn't want him to do that. Family friendly, good time.
So funny. Okay. So yeah, you're right. The wall of sand scene was awesome. They're flying the plane, trying to get over to Hamunaptra to stop all of this from happening. Imhotep at this point has Evelyn, so he is ready to sacrifice her to bring back his love. And yeah, you just get this awesome CGI wall of sand and the mummy.
You get O'Connell sitting back facing, because in this plane one's forward and one's back, and the gunner is on back, and he has a giant gun and he's just shooting the sand wall, and you see the CG work as this giant face of Imhotep comes out of the sand wall towards the plane, and he's just shooting at it, and you see all the bullets just doing nothing at all.
Yeah. I mean, he probably should have thought that the bullets wouldn't do anything to sand, but
comical for sure.
Yeah, I know, it's just comedy. Okay. Imhotep corners the group with an army of slaves, so they do eventually get in. They do find the Book of Amun-Ra. They then go to try and save Evelyn, and then there's this whole battle scene. Imhotep has a bunch of like mummies that
Mummy
are his
slaves.
armies. That is his army, and that's that. I mean, so Evelyn agrees to accompany him if he spares the rest of the group. Although Imhotep does not honor his word, Rick and others fight their way to safety. Okay, so let's see. They're able to locate the Book of Amun-Ra. Imhotep prepares to sacrifice Evelyn, but she is rescued after a battle with Imhotep's mummified priests. Evelyn reads from the Book of Amun-Ra, making Imhotep mortal. But first, Imhotep sort of had power over this army of mummies, and Jonathan comes to the rescue and does something with the Book of Amun-Ra.
Yeah, he tries to read the inscription on the cover because he doesn't have the key at this time, and he's not that great with hieroglyphic reading and Egyptian symbolism. So he does request help from Evie as Evie is fighting Anaxana Moon, and finally reads the inscription just before O'Connell is murdered by these slaves, and the mummy slaves just grab their weapons, turn, and go straight for Anaxana Moon, and go to kill her, which is insane.
And she dies quick.
Imhotep is like flabbergasted at this time. He's looking at the mummies and he sees again another shadow death. You see the mummies stab through Anaxana Moon, and Imhotep's just freaking out about it. You know, like, Anaxana Moon. And then he gets incredibly angry and goes for Rick, goes for Jonathan. Goes for
Jonathan. You know, and like you said, at this point, he still has his powers. He's not mortal just yet. And so he's really strong. So he like throws Rick like across the room. By the way, I would hate to be in this movie. There is too much sand. Sand gets everywhere.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Okay. Nope. We're not going into.
I'm just saying. I would hate to be in this movie.
Anakin, calm down.
I didn't say that.
Course,
I wasn't bringing a Star
everywhere.
Wars movie. You're the one bringing in the references.
Yeah, you said half of it. All right. So Jonathan is picked up by Imhotep, pretty much up against the wall and thrown. But Jonathan was able to sneak his hand inside the rope for viewers and grab the key and able to open that book. At the same time, Imhotep goes for Rick, and Evelyn runs over to Jonathan with the key and everything and opens the book, reads the incantation. You see a chariot come down the stairs and basically take Imhotep, a ghastly, ghostly kind of presence, away with it. And Rick is like, I thought you said it was going to kill this guy. But little did he know, he's mortal now, and he stabs him through the gut.
Stabs him right in the gut. So
that's
the end of Imhotep, but he actually goes into this pool of the dead, I would say, something like that.
Yeah, soul-filled pool.
Yeah, kind of like, you know, the pool that Hercules goes into, but, you know, Hercules doesn't die. Anyway, come on, get the reference. But he does leave them with one final word, and he says that same phrase that he carved into his sarcophagus, that death is only the beginning, and so sets up the sequel. But while all of this is happening, that little snake Benny, Justin, what is he doing?
Oh, he's just stealing treasure from the gigantic treasure room and sticking it on one of the camels, and ends up taking a break, setting down a heavy bag of gold on a lever that he didn't know was a lever, causing the entire area excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they're Justin's coughing, having a huge old coughing attack. Anyway, so he's stealing gold. He's stealing all this stuff, right? And he's being the snake that he is. He's like, I've always only been in it for this gold. And so, as you said, Justin, he loads up the camel, but he's like, I'm going to go for more. I got another sack going for more. And he ends up putting the sack on a lever that causes a booby trap for the whole thing to kind of collapse on himself and cause him to be trapped. He's trapped with the gold, which is a good thing. So if he ever runs out or is able to find a place out, he's got some gold. But Justin, what happens to him?
There's a bunch of scarabs, flesh eaters, and he has torches, but the oxygen in the room, not enough oxygen because that ceiling's coming down. And as the torch starts to burn out, the scarabs are surrounding him. And it is done in complete darkness, but you hear him scream. And he did not make it. He did not make it from those flesh eaters.
Yeah, and this is something that I do like in movies where they have you kind of fill in the gaps of like how it happened. So it's completely dark, the torch is out, and you just kind of hear the scarabs just going to town on this guy. And they haven't had a meal in years, so they're hungry.
True,
they're hungry.
True, definitely. But Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan all get out, and you see the romantic side of Evie and O'Connell. They get on top of one of the.
This one's for you, Joe. The romance.
Yeah, on top of one of the others. There's romance in here. Like I said, there's a little bit of everything, and they don't even know though that there is gold loaded up on these camels. They are just thankful to be alive and that their mission was successful.
Yes.
And they ride away into the sunset or the sunrise, Egyptian sun, with the treasure.
Yes, with the treasure.
Snake Benny put there.
Which is nice. So they're going to be rich out of their minds for a long time. And
for the sequel, for sure.
Yeah, definitely for the sequel. Probably the third one. But yeah, Justin, this is one of your favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
What are you going to give it for a ranking? I'm assuming
7.
5 out of 5.
I'm going to give it a 5 and a must watch if you're into good film. Story-wise, holds up. It's a fun ride. CG, you can tell it's dated a little bit, but it still holds up. And also, the characters, you're going to feel for them at the end of the film. You're definitely going to enjoy it throughout. If you like action, drama, a little bit of scary, it's perfect for you. 5 out of 5 must watch for me over at the Duckland.
So I am going to give it a 3. I think this is a very good movie. I don't know if it's great. Like I said, I think it's a little long. I think some of the characters, are kind of annoying. Like I don't like any of the Americans, like except for Rick O'Connell. Obviously, he's cool. But what makes this is very good for me is just the comedy, the action. Like you said, the CG. Although it is 1999, it still looks good for its time, and it's just a fun movie. It's entertaining. So yeah, it is a good movie to me. I do enjoy it. So. Let us know what you think of The Mummy down below in the comments. Remember, our scale is 5 being amazing, 4 being great, 3 good, 2 okay, and 1 bad. So just let us know on that scale what you thought about The Mummy. And let us know what you like about our favorite movie series. Again, this is the first movie in this series. Say a little word thought for Joe. He's down for the count today, so he could not make it. So wish him well in recovery. And yeah, let us know maybe what you want us to see us cover. Maybe a favorite movie of yours that you would like us to throw into this series. But yeah, favorite movie series starting off with The Mummy. Thanks everybody for listening. Please follow us at What the Fun Pod on Twitter and Facebook. You could also find us at What the Fun Pod on YouTube. We finally have our custom handle, so go ahead and check us out there. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. For Justin, my name is Mike. This has been What the Fun Show, our review of The Mummy, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye. apparently we had a very good time.
Apparently,